Welcome to A Toast to Truth, where we share our experiences dealing with emotional, mental, and or financial frustrations in business. Are your finances not keeping up with you? This is Season 2, Episode 10, Finances Frustrations. Today's special guest co-host is Jasmine Powers, the Creative Marketing Diva of J Powers Marketing and Publicity. Hey, Jasmine, thanks for coming to today's episode.
Hi, Renetta. I'm so excited to speak with you today.
I'm so excited. Like, before we get into today's episode, I always want to tell people how I know my special guest co-host. So Jasmine and I met online, and I have been trying to rack my brain. It had to be maybe through Twitter first before we became Facebook friends, but we met online definitely. And then we met in person when Jasmine came to Houston for the Inzuri Natural Hair Festival a couple of years ago, and we went to dinner, and that was so much fun.
Yeah, well, that was fun. I love Mexican food, so it's like food,
we went to Papacitos.
Yeah, food and good people is always the best.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. So before we get into today's topic, we are going to pop some bubbly. So okay, so for those who don't know, poppin' bubbly means we are going to share a celebration that we have that we want to share with you guys. So my celebration, my popping bubbly moment is I have learned how to set a budget, and I have learned not to let the little things get me off that budget. So that coincides with today's episode, but I'm very proud. After being in business almost 5 years, I know how to now stick to a budget. So, yeah. And we'll talk about that in today's episode. But, Jasmine, what's your popping bubbly moment?
My popping bubbly moment for this week is signing on an awesome new client who had built an incredible following, wrote a book, but now she's just trying to expand that and turn it into more profit for her. So the fact that she's partnering with me, I'm like, hey, she could have chose anybody, but I'm happy that I'm able to work with her with my Think Like an Agency sales and marketing coaching. So I'm cool. I'm happy. Let's pop some bubbly.
Yes, so for those who, this may be your first episode listening or whatever the case may be, I love mimosas. So if you go back to Season 1, I explained my whole vision of why everything in the episode is related to something about a mimosa. So that's where you'll hear a lot of different champagne type of connotations throughout. But let's get into today's topic, finances frustration. So if you've never been in business, I would say more than 2 years, you probably are not really at the frustration level yet. You're probably like, okay, I still have money in my savings account. I still have this. These people are still going to lend me money if I need it. About 2 years in, people are tired of giving you money because you don't know how to budget right. People are tired of financially supporting your dream if you don't have it all together. That's why I said my moment of being able to say I have a budget, I know how to stick to it, is real. Because when I ran Women Are Game Changers, when I had Fusion, I really was not looking at a budget. People would tell me how much something would cost. I would negotiate to see if they would lower it. Most times they would, and then I would just pay. And then at the end of the tour, I would always wonder why I had no profit. Like, I paid all of my bills related to the tour, paid my own personal bills, but I never had, like, a profit. And it took maybe the second year when my CPA was like, Renetta, you're not charging enough. You are overspending here. You're just all over the place. Like, look at all these little expenses. And in my mind, $25 here, $10 here, not a big deal. Well, that adds up to several $100s throughout the year. So for me, I started getting frustrated because I would have to raise my ticket prices. People don't want to pay more for the same thing that they got for cheaper the year before, but that doesn't matter because, expenses don't go away. Expenses don't go down. In fact, expenses go up, especially if you're using hotels like I was using, or, I was in Chicago and Philly. These aren't like cheap cities, DC. These aren't cities where you can go in and get something for $200-300. Like, you're going to spend some money just on venue space alone. So after I had that experience, I also realized that it was expenses that I could never get back. And calculating that, I was spending thousands of dollars on coaches that, weren't helping me make the money back that I was paying them to help me do. And I talked about that in season 1. So go back to that episode. I think it was episode 3 about coaches. But Jasmine is someone I have followed for a while. I like her marketing and sales tips that she shares, but I also like her think like an agency, because when we become an entrepreneur, and Jasmine, you could probably share a story of your own, we don't think like an agency. We just like, I want money. Here's what I can do. Pay me. Am I wrong?
No. Yeah, especially with solopreneurs, like, our focus is like just getting started and making the first sale. So if that's, putting up a website and getting a few social media accounts and, reaching out to friends and family, like that's where we start. And, everybody has to start somewhere. But once you kind of get the ball rolling, or if you ever really want to get the ball rolling, you really kind of have to have a different type of mindset that's focused on, how to optimize and maximize like sales and outreach or visibility. But without a strategy, you're really just kind of going off of like bits and pieces of like advice that you get around, for free.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah, that you get, and like you might have a general understanding, but actually being able to execute can be quite challenging. So, just and especially like when people think about sales specifically, and that's something that affects our finances, it's like something that they cringe about, and they're always looking for like the easiest way. And the first thing they think of is just social media. There's so many things out there that can help us generate leads that will turn into actual paying clients. So we can ultimately need to have like an omnipresent, dominant force in terms of our marketing in order to really generate the leads that's going to keep us in business and build a sustainable sales funnel.
Well, and you made a really good point, because at one point I was at a networking event or somewhere in Houston every night of the week. And mind you, people, I'm an introvert. I hate leaving my house if I don't have to. But that really did help, because it led to more clients. It led to a lot of financial opportunities, I'll put it that way. And then when I started withdrawing myself from the scene, the financial opportunities kind of lessened. It's almost like what Jasmine just said. You have to be omnipresent. You have to be everywhere at the same time without actually being everywhere at the same time physically. And let me explain for those who may not get it. You need to be offline. You need to be online. You need to be where your target market is in specific groups, events, conferences. You have to have the social media ads. There's a lot to go into making sure that your finances are always in the black instead of the red. Now, one thing that, Jasmine mentioned is that you have to do multiple things when it comes to, I guess, getting the word out about what you're selling, because some people, they have events, and then maybe 2 weeks before that event in Houston, they post online, "Oh, come to my event." You did not put anything out where people would not only have time to make a decision, but want to purchase. You can't just put something out 2 weeks before and think it'll happen. And I know I've done it myself, so I'm not only talking about other people. Now, when it comes to the event, those are always marketed very well on my end. But when it comes to digital products, I don't know, Jasmine. I flop. I have such a hard time selling digital products. But when I have an event, I have no problem. Like, no problem selling an event. And I know the marketing is very similar.
Yeah. I mean, with different products, of course, may appeal to different people, but I guess it really would come down to like optimizing like what you do. And when I talk about optimizing, I don't mean like you throw it up and then you walk away. Optimizing a lot of times means like A/B testing, or like, say, for example, with Facebook ads, since you can do like the ad carousel, like having 5 different ads and monitoring which one performs, because sometimes it's not like what you say, it's like how you say it or how you present it, which image is more attractive. And these are the types of things agencies are doing. Like when you see a Coca-Cola ad, before they got to that, trust and believe they had a test market where they showed ads, or they had a board meeting to see which won people's favor before they presented it to somebody else. So
you just made 2 really good points. Number one, about, making sure your ad looks great, because I did have one lady email me, never met this lady before, and told me she didn't like my ad for Fusion. And so I politely emailed her back and said she didn't have to come. And so my mom was like, well, maybe she was giving you feedback. I said, well, she's not the audience I want to attract then, because if she's going to criticize my flyer, then that means she's going to criticize something else at the event, and she'll disrupt it for all the people who are there. So what Jasmine is saying, it does have validity to it. There are people who are going to like and not going to like the flyers that you put out, but you have to understand who you're targeting, and you have to understand where that feedback that person is giving you is coming from. If it's coming from genuine, maybe you should try this, it'll look better, or, oh, I don't like that. Okay, if you don't like it, don't come. But if someone is giving me feedback like, maybe if you use this font, or, have a wider banner or something like that, that's not criticizing you. That's them saying what's appealing and what's not appealing.
Now, I'll just say, I don't know how the lady said it, but criticism can mean 2 things. It could mean that the person is not the right target market, but it could mean that the flyer sucked. And that if it was more attractive, that it might attract more people that are your target audience. But I think with that being said, we don't like criticism because this is our baby, and we like it, and maybe many people do like it. Maybe there are people that do really like our stuff, but in the tech startup world, they put out a minimum viable product. They put this first thing that they can bring to market so they can see, does it even make sense to continue with this thing, or and if we do, what features, the products and features or things that you need in order to make this a better product. And they get all kinds of feedback, and
like focus
they kind of don't,
and things like that.
Yeah, they kind of don't view. I mean, I'm sure the founders and the developers, may take criticism personally, but usually they take that criticism and feedback and change, and at least test the change. Like maybe you beta users test the new version and see how that responds. So then you have these different versions that you can basically base your assumptions, or test your assumptions to see, does this work? Eventually you hope to get to a product that's superior. And when it comes to design work or copy, those are products, those are things that we ultimately are selling to people so that they can move forward. We're selling them on the next call to action, essentially. So, it needs to look good so they can buy into this call to action or this visual and then click, and then it's up to the next, website or thing to do the rest of the selling until you get, your ultimate goal. So, I don't think that feedback should automatically, and it's just a general thing that people do. Like, they get feedback and be like, "She a hater." You see it on Facebook. I hate her.
I didn't say she was a hater.
No. You say she can't come to your event.
I sure did.
I was like, dang, Renetta, she just didn't like your flyer. You just booted her. That's kind of toe up. I'm glad it wasn't me.
Right? No. But the thing is, I don't think people are haters. Like, I don't come at it as if what I do and someone doesn't like it, they're hating on me. I've never had that type of mindset. But I knew where she was coming from, and it wasn't coming from a place of she was going to add value to it.
Mm-hmm.
She was coming from this, tearing it down in a sense.
Very critical, like with a negative.
Yes. Yeah. So that attitude, I was like, that attitude is not what I want at my event. So some people may say I was, blocking a hater or whatever. Call it what you want. When you have an event, or not just an event, your business, you attract the energy you want. And if it's energy you don't want, you are free to tell that energy not in this space. Like, you have to move on to something else. And another thing, when Jasmine was explaining everything, a lot of solopreneurs, like she said, take this as this is their baby. Their business is their baby. That blindsides you a lot of times. I know. I've been there. And that's when you start really getting into financial trouble, because you don't want to listen to people. You don't want to make the changes. I mean, I met with a coach recently, and, I'm working on my first product, which is a journal, and I was telling her all these things I liked, and she said, it doesn't matter what you like. It matters what the people who are going to buy it like and what they want. So we as solopreneurs, we have to get out of the mindset of what is it that I want. We have to think, what is it that our customers, our clients want, and what is it that they will actually pay for. I mean, to me, that's thinking like an agency, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's thinking like an agency, and it's thinking like a smart business person. As a Black woman, and I know you understand this, we tend to want to just serve Black businesses. Or as a woman, we want to serve women-owned businesses.
Yes, I was like that. Women are game changers, but I didn't have a choice because of the name.
Yeah, or Ambitious Diva. Or as a small business owner, we only want to serve small businesses and other solopreneurs. And the danger, especially with this, there's this mindset that you can only serve these very protected groups. And those groups that you want to serve because they're close to your heart may not have the money to build a sustainable business for you. Now, I'm not saying Black people don't have money. I'm not saying women don't have money. And I'm not saying small businesses don't have money. But sometimes the products and services that we build, maybe it's a blog, or maybe it is coaching, like I want to say web development services or something like that. And we say, well, we just want to serve women business, new women. I heard someone say, I want to serve new women businesses, but I'm not getting any clients. Well, your price point could be wrong. Your target could be wrong. Your marketing could be wrong. And sometimes it's a combination of all those three or none of those things, but it does make sense to build businesses that have a sustainable target market and a sustainable price point. And because we can build businesses all day, but we probably will have to work and just do a side hustle because they'll never grow to a point where we can quit our jobs or buy a house or raise a family or put our kids through college. And I think sometimes the limit is like we only are seeing these small groups as the only people that we can serve, and those people that we want to serve because we want to help them, become economically empowered, specifically if it's any coaching or coaching services or things like that, or branding and design or marketing. As very, very new businesses, they don't have a sustainable budget because you have to think about, like, how much are their clients paying them? So maybe they are a boutique and maybe they have a business loan, but at some point that small business loan needs to go to inventory and retail space, and the marketing budget is going to run out.
But
so
see,
unless you're doing
really
something like
point. But one thing that you mentioned about, the ideas and everything like that, sometimes it's not even a for-profit idea. Sometimes it's a non-profit idea, but you're trying to make it a for-profit idea.
Yeah, that too. And I think, and speaking of nonprofit, a lot of times we end up not profiting, and we're not tax exempt either. But the truth of the matter is, even with a nonprofit that primarily gets its money through grants and fundraising or corporate sponsorships or other types of ways, they can profit. We see very profitable or sustainable tax-exempt organizations, but still, whatever it is that we're doing, it needs to kind of have this hungry client base that has the resources to continue to pay. And so what I recommend for small businesses who have those types of businesses, your target market, if it's going to be, somebody who doesn't have a long-lasting budget, build passive products so they don't have to spend a bunch of money with you, and continue to market those so it doesn't take a lot of your time out, and then focus your income-generating activities on larger corporations or larger or government contracting or things like that, so you can start to really look at bigger finances. Because I think some of us even hear like six-figure coaches. And I'm like, why are there no seven-figure or eight-figure coaches or multi-billion-dollar coaches? Like, we happy if we get $100,000 and that's it. Like, not even more than that. So it just gets kind of, I know you're going to go somewhere else, but I just want to say, like, sometimes
I want to continue that. I want us to stop for, take a sip, take a quick break.
Okay.
And then okay. I want us to get onto that because I like that. Why are we only stuck on being a six-figure coach? Why can't we be an eight-figure coach? So I am going to take a sip, and we will be right back. Ready to face the truth in your business? Schedule a Truth Power session. I act as your sounding board, giving you feedback, critiques, suggestions, while teaching you how to mentally detox using journaling. Go to VernettaRFrenny.com/truthconfidant. And don't forget to pre-order your The Truth Confidant Journal. Okay, so Jasmine made a really great point about just, being a six-figure coach. What's her name? By Regina.com. She wrote a really great blog post about, being conned in a sense by six-figure coaches. So, Jasmine, why do you believe people are just stuck on that six-figure coach number? Like, why aren't they trying to be 7 or 8-figure coaches?
I think there's levels to growth. So part of it may be that 6 figures seems more attainable if you're already at 50,000 right now, or like 30,000. It's like, okay, if I can just get to that, that would be cool, you know. So I think that's part of it. And I also think that if we don't know anybody who's 7 or, you know, or multi-million-dollar people or billionaires,
like we don't know an example personally. We can't.
Yeah, like I think if we
read
don't
it in a magazine.
Know that, yeah, we only see. I mean, in terms of like the people that are being kind of like, I don't want to say like promoted, celebrated, or esteemed. A lot of them are like, you know, 7-figure people. You know, like, hey, here's a girl who makes $150,000 as a marketing director. She's balling out of control. And I went to college with her, so I know it can happen. I'm just not there yet. And then the $350,000 people, they're not coaches usually. They're doctors or lawyers or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I think it's kind of like, well, I don't know, somebody who's really making millions, but I mean, like, you know, really, really doing it, I should say multiple millions, but they're there because, like, say, for example, Paul C. Brunson, I know he's a multi-millionaire, you know, and he talks about it, and I'm sure his goal is probably billion-dollar coaching.
Yeah.
You know,
I was going to say, like, Fabian Fredrickson, Marie Forleo.
Yeah.
You know, there are coaches who, like you said, are making more than just $1 million, you know. And my perception of it is that people don't understand money. And I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be mean. 6 figures, if you make, say, $100,000, that still may not be able to pay all of your bills, because if you are an entrepreneur, you're not taking into consideration that you not only have to pay your household bills, but you also have to pay all of the bills related to your business. So if you're only aiming for 6 figures, that's almost as if, say, it takes $50,000 a year to run your household, but it takes $70,000 a year to run your business. You're already in the hole with just thinking, oh, I'm going to make I'm going to make $100,000. You have to think, like Jasmine said, you have to think bigger, because the more money you make, the more expenses you get as well. So people forget that.
In the by Regina post, she, you know, mentioned her, you know, her being able to pay $100,000 in salaries. So you do have to be in a position that, like, to run this enterprise that not only gives you $100,000, but you might have 4 support staff who may make, you know, $20,000 to $50,000. You know, who knows, whatever you need. So you need to be in a position to do that, and of course there has to be a level. You have to start somewhere. Maybe right now you're just trying to get, you know, from $30,000 to $50,000, and then $50,000 to $75,000, or maybe you're just trying to make your first $1,000 independent of your job. So I get that. I just think that the byproduct is the only goal that some people think is possible for them, is that. As far as
I don't know why that's becoming like a goal. It's almost like a blanket goal all over the internet. I mean,
I think marketing marketing is
everywhere.
Well, see, the thing is everybody, like, the one downfall that I have with these kind of like open letters or I'm going to say kind of shade to six-figure coaches. The downfall to that is that I don't know. I feel like everybody has to market. Like if they're going to be successful in business, they have to have something to sell. And to say that they shouldn't say that they're six-figure coaches, I don't know that I agree with that, because if that's what they can bring.
Well, I think they were saying some of them weren't, or someone.
Well, that's true, because I know
some are misleading about that topic.
Right. So so there's those people. Yeah. There's those people. Absolutely, we know. I think I want to say her name is Audrey Richmond. I want to say that's her name, but she's a web developer, or she has an agency that builds websites, and she has coaching. But she wrote a Medium post that was very revealing too, about flubbing numbers, and also, kind of misleading copy, and how that's a thing. And we understand that. And I can't remember which of the millions of, because I know Queen Code wrote a post as well. So it's a lot of posts that's really saying, hey, don't get fooled. And I think at the bottom of it is like, vet your person, vet your person. But at the same time, if a person can legitimately bring about a result for a client, and this is the result that the group that they want to serve is looking for, then of course they got to have marketing copy and sales copy to get people to buy. And to say, oh, well, they're just telling you that to get you a sale, I mean, that's typically what we do. We tell people stuff so that we can sell it to them. That's the whole purpose of sales copy. So I don't think that just as a whole should just be like, well, they told you that so that, this is bad. It's not bad. This is just how they make their money. It's just we should be smarter customers.
For me, at least, it's the results. Now, if people say they're a six-figure coach and they can help you do this, now I know a lot, or I don't want to say personally, but we're connected in a way. And they're honest about it. They're like, only 2 of you on this call will actually do it. Or I mean, they're realistic about how many people will actually take what they're teaching and apply it and make that money.
But so I don't think anybody can really promise anything. Like, I don't know that they can't. Well, I should say, I don't think results are typical. I really don't.
That is
because
true.
People don't do what you tell them. I have had so many courses that people have paid for, and when I was using Kajabi, it tells you when a person is logged in. They paid and never logged in.
Wow.
It's looking like, hey.
Now in that case, they can't be the ones writing blog posts talking about these coaches at all.
Yeah, but they will. But they will, because if they are they're reading the summary emails and they feel like, okay, I got the thing, or I watched a few of the webinars, but I didn't do my homework. Oh my goodness, there's groups, I'll just say groups, that will kind of drag the consultant, and I'm going, hold on, that's one side of it. What work did the person do? And
I agree with that, because I've shared my own stories about it, but I have been the one to do what I was told to do by the coach, and it didn't resonate with my audience, and I was trying to explain to the coach that it didn't. What else could I do? And the coach just seemed like it wasn't a big deal. It worked for her, so why didn't it work for me?
Yeah.
So in that case, I was like, we're through. Like, me paying you is over.
Right, and that really is what it has to be, because the truth is, we can bring about, if we say that we're in the industry. So I know a girl, I can't think of her name right now, but she teaches massage therapists how to maximize profits in their business. She is a massage therapist, so she can teach massage therapists how to do that. She probably wouldn't go to a boutique owner and say, I can do this, because the strategy that works for massage therapists in California may not work for retail owners in Philadelphia.
Good point.
But with the coach, if a coach kind of just say, well, I want all the money, and they just make a blanket statement. Not every business has the same plan. So there may be some basic education that you provide. There may be some basic education that you can provide, but unless you have a customized strategy that takes into consideration the years amount of, or, you know, at least a long amount of time to build it, optimize, and test the thing, the person really can't get to what they really want to achieve. And then just reel it back, maybe their product or service sucks. So no matter how good the marketing and how good the coaching, your joint is jacked up, and now you just need to go back down to product development and build something new that does.
Well, have you heard of Blue Ocean Strategy?
No.
Okay, so Blue Ocean Strategy, I learned about it in undergrad in one of my business classes. Now, mind you, I'm a liberal arts student, everyone, in undergrad, because I couldn't decide on my major. I changed it every 2 weeks. But the registrar just told me I was a liberal arts major so I can graduate on time. So I'm in this business class. And they talk about Blue Ocean Strategy, which is essentially creating an industry within an industry. Mm-hmm. So you have less competition, you have less and your market pool may be smaller than the general market, but it's bigger than the general market because you have less companies who are going after the same target. Now, everything I've done up until this point has been considered somewhat, except for the digital courses that didn't sell, have been considered somewhat a blue ocean strategy, like with Fusion, because it was an intimate conversation, not networking. I'm trying to think of some of the other things that I've done. The journal that I'm creating is not your typical just line journal with a cute cover or whatever. Like, I actually did the research on the process and benefits of journaling. So what I'm saying, when Jasmine said sometimes you have to go back to product development, on the flip side, what if you created a product that's too advanced thinking for the coach that you've hired and they aren't able to help you come up with a plan? What do you do then?
Fire the coach. I think that there has to be some responsibility on both parties. A coach that really interviews and thoroughly understands the customer's problem, so that they can, and they should know that over the sales process. You know, you whether you have forms, whether you have more than one sales conversation before you close, that is that coach's responsibility. And that's where, you know, true understanding of a complex sales process comes in. You know, it's not just a go click and buy thing. It's like we need to actually have a conversation and figure out if we're right for each other. Then there's responsibility on the client. The client know what they want, but really they're hiring you to know how to do it. But
I will agree with that. The process. But there should be some level of being able to, like, see through the sales, just the sales part, and see if they're actually teaching you something that is valuable to you. I agree with that, but sometimes I feel that people are so desperate. I've been with one coach in particular. I was so desperate to add a revenue outside of Fusion that, you know, I was believing that she could help me because she said she had done all this stuff. After I got to working with her and really started paying attention to what she had done, she hadn't done anything. Like, she was still working a 9 to 5, making 6 figures on her 9 to 5. Like, I was so perplexed. I'm like, that's not the persona I was sold. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So, you know, we as the clients, we also have to not jump into an agreement We have
right.
to, like Jasmine said, go through the process. We need to ask them questions. We need to watch. We need to pay attention. Like, just because you know you need to make money doesn't mean you have to jump into a contract with the coach.
Or some sort of like lower level buy-in so you can kind of test the strategy up front. Like, often coaches, like, maybe they have an expensive package, right? So, you know, I have either, you know, my 3-month thing where I'm actually like executing work for you that can be, you know, in the $10,000 to $20,000 range, or you have something that's a monthly consulting only that's in the, you know, $1,000 to $2,500 range, or there's a strategy call, you know, just 1 hour or 2 hours that we go through this thing. Even events, you know, I have, you know, an event in September. It's, you know, $1,200. It's one time. If you can find out then if you want to know, or with a, you know, a sales call, hopefully a more extensive sales call, you can buy yourself some time by asking for, you know, references, or, you know, seeing, you know, case studies, or looking at other client stuff that they've done. But if you want to just, like, before shelling out, because I mean, I hear people spend $12,000 to $25,000 a year on consulting only, like no execution, like no digital marketing execution. Since that's the space that I reside in, there are lower buy-ins where you can spend some money, like you should spend some money. Especially if you really like somebody and think that they possibly can help you. But if you're really gun-shy and you really are not sure, I think the first step may be just to kind of do a trial run. No results are immediate, though. So, you know, even with a trial run, you may or may not see some, you know, big wins. Like if you talk to me for 2 hours, okay, you're not going to be rich in 2 minutes. You know, in 2 hours.
I think people need to understand that as well, because, you know, it is, for some reason, people feel that they start a coaching program and in 30 days they're supposed to have the same amount of money that coach has.
Well, the problem is, Regina are those headlines. That is a problem with sales copy and headlines. I mean, it works. It absolutely works. But with sales and marketing people, you know, especially at the higher level or agency level, hire psychologists to understand consumer behavior. And the consumer behavior a lot of time is based on greed. So we may not like to believe it, but we are greedy. And when we read headlines like that, we want to get rich quick. And the thing is, it's just changed from the get rich quick schemes of like the 80s and 90s, and now it's coaching. So, you know, I mean, they still have schemes.
It's so bad because, you know, there are so many good coaches out there.
There
like
are
you
so
and
many
some of
good
the other
coaches.
guests. And I was talking to someone the other day, and I was telling them, I'm like, you know who the loudest coaches are online? It's the ones who mislead. I'll put it that way. Because I was talking to one person, and I'm like, I don't understand why I keep getting these Facebook ads about leaving my 9 to 5, and I haven't had one since 2011. So what exactly am I leaving, and why do I keep getting these ads?
Because maybe the targeting. I really just will say that it's like women in this area. Boom, that's it.
But I was just like, gosh, you know, I'm about tired of seeing those. But it is funny because those are the ones who, you know, out there. And there was this person, and I'm not going to get his name because I don't know if he would want people to know he said it. But he said it at a conference. He said there are some people who are so well-spoken that they can easily put up a Facebook ad and get people to believe that they did what they said that they did, even though they haven't actually done it. What they've done is see if people will buy the result that they say they can do. Let me explain that for people. They are testing it out, And if they get money, then they're going to figure out how to get that result for you. But they want to get your money first. I have a problem with that, but I see the logic behind it. But I have a problem with that.
That's really in the startup world. I really suggest people kind of start paying attention to tech startups, because I think that's where I want to say legitimate MBAs or people who understand business really are getting the information that they need, not blogs or just coaches, or I really just say pay attention to what the process is for building a business from the ground up in the startup world.
Kind of like what Gary Vaynerchuk said. Like, he was like, I built a business before I taught other people how to build a business.
Right.
I agree with that.
And plus the thing is they're very transparent. So, a lot of us, we're not a part of communities where we know like building this thing from the inside out. Or from the bottom up, but get into some beta groups and follow, like, say, for example, the Grid.io was a website or tech startup that, what do you call it, artificial intelligence website building. But they email you every week or every month and tell you really how this thing is developing. But if you are paying attention as an entrepreneur yourself, what they're doing is getting feedback and pivoting, and feedback and pivoting. And like in the case with, what is it, Catch, K-A-C-H, they built a business.
I was so sad when they closed
down.
Down.
But their business,
I would have paid
I don't
for
know.
that service. I would have paid for that service.
Right. But the thing is they built it, and maybe people wanted it, but maybe not enough people wanted it. Maybe it was there was no.
Well, they were only going after venture funding. Like, I read the article. They said they weren't getting enough funding to keep it up.
But they won't get funding if they don't have any way to get the people's money back.
I know. They should have done a subscription to, like a small group to see, what levels people would pay or whatever. And that's that's a whole podcast.
Yeah, it's a whole another thing. So let me get back to what I was going to say. Then you will see a company like that after they test and they, try it out for a while. It doesn't make sense to continue growing this thing because this idea is not going to work or ever be sustainable or not be sustainable.
I see what you're saying. I did a whole episode on that, episode 7 in season 1, about when it's time to walk away.
Right.
You've done all you could. You've invested what you could, and it's just not picking up steam, and it's not going anywhere. You can't beat a dead horse.
Right.
And that's literally with this topic, finances, frustration. If you have been doing something, I would say at least 3 years, and you're not inching forward in it, then maybe you should, reconsider letting it go or making a drastic change. But if, you're making a little bit progress, and when I say progress, I mean a little bit more money than you made the previous 6 months, and then a little bit more money than you made the previous year, then I would say keep going. But if you're not, I personally would not put a cap on 3 years. If I had to quit at 3 years, you would not see me here, because it was very slow and painful process, but resilient entrepreneurs understand the process and trust the process and see the vision. Well, I wouldn't say 3 years stop, but 3 years more so. Could you keep doing it mentally? Like, do you have the mental?
I think you can. I think
those
a person
who don't,
can.
I think they should. The people who mentally can't do it, I think at 3 years of that, if you feel you can't do it anymore, I wouldn't. I've taken breaks. I've absolutely taken breaks.
Now,
I'm glad you mentioned that. That is a good point. You can take a break. You can put your business on hiatus. Where's it going to go?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a matter of, like, that's where what you call, like, there might be a pivot point for you. Like, you just Okay, and like for all intents and purposes, Ambitious Diva has not had the vim and vigor that it had in 2012. It's 2016 because it's like, okay, hold on, what am I doing? There's been, of course, blogging has continued. There has been events, but it's not been that. But in this process, there have been other developments of, related to the parent company that really tell me the direction that needs to go. Ambitious Diva will probably still remain, but not as, just this Facebook group, or not just as this thing like that. There has to be
seasons. You're in a different season.
Yeah, I'm in a different season, and it serves a different purpose. What it's had to do is pivot. It's had to change, how it serves the people. They're still very, very interested people, even though, the group is no longer as active as it used to be. What happens is, I feel I've determined, hey, I need to split up this thing a little bit more clearly. I cannot only serve this demographic. I need to start to serve other people, but I had only been putting out Ambitious Diva. I had only been leading with Ambitious Diva, and then the other stuff was kind of just like as a result of Ambitious Diva. Instead of me leading with, this is my digital agency, and I produce events, and I do strategic partnership development and PR and event marketing. Like, instead of leading with that, I was leading with this other thing, and so putting that on the back burner really, or Ambitious Diva on the back burner, really allowed me the opportunity to grow the agency to what it is.
That is a good
but
point.
It's still there.
Sometimes we put the wrong product or the wrong service as the anchor, and we make everything go around it, and it's really sinking us. It's not.
Because our passion is with those
us.
groups. Yeah, our passion is with this one thing. And then I say, you know what? My passion will always be with Black female entrepreneurs. I mean, I never have stated like that was the demographic, but hey, we see who responded, Black female entrepreneurs or those wanting to transition. However, for the price point of the services that I had been offering, for the most part, it didn't make sense for those same people. They need the information, but paying $2,500 to work with me, unless they had, an inheritance or a six-figure job or had saved and planned ahead of time, the average Ambitious Diva member was not going to pay me, at least not me, for the services that I provided. But corporate entities would, or established businesses, because Ambitious Diva primarily attracted new businesses, but more established businesses
they understood
me. So it's
what
like
you were doing.
I needed to focus my target. So what I was saying earlier, I'm speaking from knowledge and understanding. I'm not talking out the side of my head. I've had the experience, and I understand that, hey, some people can't sustain your level of the profit that you want to get to. So if you want to make $350 million, this group ain't gonna be the one. It might not be the one, or you need to develop a product that can still, because I mean, hey, Walmart is huge, and it's lower income levels, but they created a product that would be an easy buy for people of lower income levels.
And then scaling in and of itself, that's a process
and
you
so
need to make sure you have together.
Yeah. Yes, or there's a guy, his name is Politic. I think that's his name, but I used to watch him on YouTube because, I don't know, for whatever reason I was going through a Hotep stage, and I was watching this guy, and he has tens or hundreds of books, it may be 100 or more books. He's written all of these books, and he does seminars, but all of them are $20. Not one thing that I saw at that point was over $20, but he's able to support his polygamous family, so his 5 wives and all their children on this income, but nothing. He probably could, with the amount of knowledge that this man has,
but he knows
charge $1,000 or whatever. In terms of value, and knowledge and education, okay, yeah, and he's been in business and I should say experience, he could say, hey, I want to charge $10,000 a seat just like Brendan Bouchard. I can do that. He could, but the audience he's speaking to and trying to economically uplift are your average street thug, not like, you know what I mean, not street thugs, but your average corner uncle, bottle, you know, just average people in the community. I shouldn't make it like the people on the, like the homies on the corner, but like, you know, your aunties, your grandmothers, your regular community people from Compton
people who've never had like the financial education.
You know, just your regular community people that you see on the average urban area. These are his target market. So he's not going to be trying to sell even a $350 ticket event, although his information may be that valuable. How he scaled it is building like hundreds of really small investment things that people are likely to buy. Now, he could be a small-time drug dealer for all I know on the side. But, you know, since we're talking about how people present a lifestyle and you think that what they teaching you is how they got that lifestyle, but what I saw him presenting as a buy-in were these low investment products, and it's kind of like the Walmart methodology. You have a bunch of products that you can drive the price down because of the sheer volume, and they appeal to the people who are not, I should say, people who are not willing to invest. Because I do not want to say that Black people don't have money. They do have, many of them really do have money, but many of them really don't have money either. So you just need to have something that is an easy buy-in and passive, so it's not time intensive for you to develop, and you might see your profits go up. But we went all around the world. The point that I wanted to say, and I need to get out before this call ends, was when you said people speak articulately and then they sell a program that they haven't built. I've done it, so I know it's possible, but that is what is called a minimum viable product. If nobody buys, why go through the expense of paying a developer to build a website or spend the time building this long behind program that nobody wants to buy? And I'm so glad that I've done that.
I get that, because with my journal, I'm not printing my journal until I get, a certain amount of pre-orders. The thing is, it took me 8 months to create it that way, but I had a 12-week program that I did, so I had ladies look at it. I had created a prototype. I had people look at it. So while I spent, I would say I've spent less than $50, as far as a physical copy of it. However, I'm not against selling something that is not out there yet. It is created. The journal is created. It's just not in the physical form until I get some pre-orders. Because I don't want to be like this lady I heard at a conference who said she has a storage with all these T-shirts because she couldn't sell them. I'm not trying to have a storage with a whole bunch of journals.
No. I mean, one of my first big clients developed an amazing book. I mean, it was an amazing, beautiful book, but that it cost her money because she self-published and she has pallets of books.
I'm not trying to do that at all.
And that's a risk that we take. It's a risk that we take when we're in business and selling physical products. It's a risk that we take. But there's also now services like Celery and Indiegogo that can allow us to test whether or not people will buy it in the first place. Celery specifically is for pre-selling, but now Celery and Indiegogo have a service that integrates together for, I want to say, I think it's called Indiegogo on demand or something. So like after you successfully funded your thing and you still want to collect payments, you can use Indiegogo in demand with Celery for your pre-selling of whatever it is that you're doing. So you have that. I don't think it's a problem if the person delivers on the back end. I had a product, a blogging course. It was called Jasmine's Power Blogging. And I sold it. I got people to buy in, and then I got sick, right? So then it was like hard to deliver. Fortunately, I didn't sell like 1 million, people on it. So for those who did ask for refunds, I was able to, refund them partially since they had partially completed the program. For others, I just needed more time. So there, you run that risk of it. You may not, there's something may come up, but if you can't personally do the copy, maybe somebody else you can hire, you can figure out some kind of other way to deliver value. But I understand a person pre-selling their products and then building it later, because what if I had built all that and spent the time and money in doing it and it's just sitting there? Of course, you can always repurpose and then do something with it later or put it as a part of a package.
But then you got to think of how to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I think you can, like they say, you can kill more than one way to skin a cat. So you can wait till you develop it and sell it, or you can, pre-sell it and then wait for buy-in. But the only thing is, make sure you have some type of way to deliver it. A couple of years ago, I didn't have actually it's been maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, I didn't have the foresight to know that I should have a plan in place, like worst case scenario, I get hit by a car. Will these people be able to have this content? Like, yeah, they got the first 3 weeks. Now what?
We're going to stop there. This is a really good, Jasmine, you gave a lot. And so I don't want people to feel like, oh, my God, because you may have to listen to this again because, the information Jasmine gave was incredible. So what we're going to do, we're going to get ready to give our final toast, which is, our takeaway from today's episode that we want you to walk away with. And so I will start. So my final toast for today's episode is you really have to take charge of what you do in your business. So we can't place blame on outside forces, outside people when it comes to us making money. We can't allow our own desperation to dictate how and when we'll make money. So that's my final takeaway is we need to be responsible with our decisions. Because, Jasmine kind of put me in my place talking about the hater I blocked from my event, but I'm standing by that. I'm standing by that.
She probably didn't want to come no way. She probably wasn't going to come, so you didn't do nothing.
Okay, so what is your final toast?
My final toast is that we should just really be resilient and willing to do the testing and price adjustments or the research and, operate like a real business. Like, don't operate like somebody who doesn't know how to run a business. And I know the only way you can learn is by doing, many times, but get somebody who does understand the processes so you can have the right mindset to think not only as an agency, but to think like an MBA who understands business and how this whole thing works.
I like that. Think like you're running a business. A lot of people don't put it that way. Well, this has been a Toast to Truth with Bernetta Arfreni. That's me chatting it up with my friend Jasmine about finances and the frustrations that come with not knowing how to actually make money. Thank you all for listening.